All right, welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having an awesome evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is the Louisville Azure Meetup. A couple quick slides, and I'm, just like we were joking, I'm gonna get you on to the real talent of the evening. So number one question I get all the time is, will the recording be available? Yes, it will. Actually, it'll be available on Twitch the moment we're done, but about 24 hours afterwards, or 36, 48 when I ever get around to doing it, but definitely 24 because I got to wait for the Twitch rules. It'll be at TaleLearnCode YT bit.ly. Or if you subscribe to me, I can finally get I don't have my 100 subscribers. If I get my 100 subscribers, then I can get a real YouTube channel instead of the crazy name that I have now. But so yes, videos will be up there along with all the other videos from Louisville.net and Louisville Azure. All right, I want to quickly thank our sponsors. Even with things being a whole lot cheaper right now because there's no food or anything, it still costs money to run these things. So thank you for our sponsors. And actually, I don't think any of them are here tonight. I don't see any of them, so yes. All right, but real quick, upcoming meetups. Actually, I don't have anything planned currently for November and December for the Azure meetup. There's one because actually the meetup, the November would be Thanksgiving and the December would be either New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. I forget which one. But I'm still working maybe the possibility of having one more meetup. But on the Louisville.net meetups, November 19th, we'll have Phil Japitsky talking about ASP.NET Core 5. There's not the core, that's why it's in parentheses. Jeremy Palmero will be here in December talking about Blazor architecture patterns. On January 21st, we'll have Adam, and I'm never going to pronounce his name correctly until I ask him how to pronounce it, but something different, getting back to basics. And February 18th is actually planned. I just don't have the details yet, but basically I'm drawing a blank on the person's name, but a member who's actually of the identity team at Microsoft is going to talk about an introduction to identity for developers. So that should be a really good talk. Along with that, I do run a couple other groups. Louisville IT Happy Hour, that will be the second Tuesday of the month. So the next one is November 10th. Louisville Tech Leaders. So Happy Hour is open for anybody, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a happy hour. It's just people to, time to get together and talk to folks. Louisville Tech Leaders is meant for tech leader, whatever that means to you, right? Whether you are you're leading a tech team or, you're a director like I am or what have it, right? It's been a hiatus, partially because we were getting ready to quiz folks on what was a better time to meet because we were just getting low turnouts, although people were wanting to attend. And I actually just today finally concluded on where because I'm technically in between jobs right now. I finally today concluded where I'm going. So now I can start making a schedule. So that should be coming on the schedule soon. Funny part is remote workers actually does not work in COVID days because the whole purpose of remote workers was to get remote workers away from the house. So hopefully we'll be able to get past that sometime soon. Along with talking with that, and I'm sure we have a bunch of people coming in from there. We are part of the .NET Foundation. As part of that, we participate in the virtual user groups, which is not is meetings run by groups like us. And which gives you a chance to see groups from all over the world. Along with, so you see I'm on Zoom and Twitch, but some don't have a resource, so they're actually doing the YouTube hosting and all that type of stuff. So really great. Definitely check out the meetup.com and it's .NET virtual user group, dashes in between each word. Lots of great meetups in there. It's actually come to the point like every day there's at least one in there, and all times of the day too. So because like you'll see someone in London and such, or not just London, but the England area. Quick little self-promotion. I do stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. TaleLearnCode is the channel. And as you can see, tales about software development, learning from each other, and code to build solutions. Right now, I've been working on it's a personal application to manage my speaking engagements. I'm not traveling so much right now, but like last year, I spoke at 23 events, all over the country. And of course, to speak at 23 events meant I submitted to like 60 events and I have to track all that. And so I'm doing all, but more importantly, this app is not just to track that. It's also, I'm playing with Cosmos functions, C#9, so kind of bundling a lot of things that I'm playing with. Along with that, Nagranchi, he's a little bit on hiatus, but definitely, Corey, who's our speaker tonight, and he streams at CLW. Definitely check that out when he comes back, especially when he does his 5 o'clock hour. That is one of the best programs out on Twitch. I mean, and I'm not just saying it because Corey's sitting right here. I actually really do like that show. It's more of an uplifting show. If you do come, definitely make sure you bring your water-based drink. All right, and finally, we will, afterwards, after the presentation and the questions and answers are done, we'll stay online here on Zoom. For those on Twitch, we will disconnect from Twitch, and then just have a virtual gathering, right? I said we can't go to the BJ's. It's next, nearby where we normally meet, but we can at least, gather virtually and just talk, right? Things about what you're doing and so forth. All right, so with that, I'm ready to introduce Corey. And sure enough, I mean, here's the thing. I almost tweeted this, but I decided not to for political reasons. But, you have an option tonight, right? Because you can either watch two blowhards, on stage, on the debate stage, or you can listen to the real hurricane, Corey Weathers, right? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Corey. And I'll let him explain the whole hurricane thing.
I'm cracking up. Thank you so much for that intro. Let me share my screen across. Oh, man. Let me share. Okay, good. We should be good to go. Let me know once y'all can see. I think we're good. Yes. Thank you for that intro, Chad, and for the invitation. I am actually incredibly excited to be with you all tonight. This is, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Corey Weathers. I have the privilege and pleasure of being a developer evangelist for a phenomenal company named Twilio. And so I've been on leave from Twilio for a little bit. This is like my first talk, like my first proper talk in a long time. So I'm happy to shake the cobwebs off. We'll talk a little bit about the 5 p.m. show as well as I kick this thing off. But for context, tonight's talk is titled like Building Bots with Twilio Autopilot Azure Functions. I'm just going to sort of set the stage. I would never assume that you all, one, know what Twilio is, two, have ever done anything with Autopilot, or three, have done anything with Azure Functions. So definitely keep the questions in the comments coming. I'll keep an eye. I just had Zoom chat up, but it went away. So I got to figure out how we can get that back. I still have Twitch chat. Keep the questions coming, and we'll talk a good deal about all of these things. For the record, I'm the kind of guy, whenever I play around with new things, I like to build stuff. So I'm going to retitle tonight's talk from Building Bots with Twilio Autopilot and Azure Functions to Building a Christmas Wish List. And you're probably wondering why a Christmas wish list. So all of us have been impacted by the pandemic. I am a single dad of 2 very young kids. In fact, let me just switch to the screen. I'm a single dad of 2 kids. So my daughter's in the back, my 5-year-old, my 3-year-old son's in the front. And they've been hanging out with me in the house throughout the entire pandemic. And it's been one of these things where, because every year it feels like Christmas is coming earlier, sooner, like it never stops not coming sooner, we've ended up in this weird spot where, like, no matter what, come early October, late September, Christmas commercials start popping up. So my daughter's doing this thing now where she like hits me up and she's like, Dad, I want that thing. And usually I'm not paying attention, right? So I got to like stop everything I'm doing, turn around and go try to catch a picture or catch the name of the thing that she's trying to build. And I sit back and I'm like, all right, I got to find a way to make this easier for me, because it keeps happening all the time. So what you see on the left is my kids. On the right, what you see is I actually do stream on Twitch a good deal, and we typically build stuff like this on Twitch. So when we do the 5 p.m. show, which is we do every Friday at 5 p.m. in a time zone local to whatever I choose, because it's 5 p.m. Why not bring your water and your water-based drinks? Let's have some fun, right? So when we do the 5 p.m. show, we typically build stuff like this. And I'm probably going to finish building this the next time we light up the 5 p.m. show. But that being said, one of the things I realized is I was thinking about like what to build is I started talking to my friends and I asked them like, hey, if you could have a Christmas wish list, like what would you build? Oh, wait, wrong slide. There we go. If you could have a Christmas wish list, what would you put? What would you want from it? And everyone said the basics, right? Like, oh, I want to be able to add something. I want to be able to, update or delete something. I don't know if we'll have time to update tonight. We'll see. Like, I got a timer running in the corner, so I'm gonna watch the clock and see how this goes. But it'd be cool as well if like I could take a picture of something and we could share it, right? Or if they could share it and save it in the list. It'd be cool to manage a list for multiple people. And maybe, and I put maybe keep an item a secret. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list, right? Like the number one thing that's missing from this list, which I actually didn't realize till like an hour ago, is get the things that are on the list. So we are definitely going to be able to do that before we finish tonight. But I started thinking, all right, well, how could I build this? And if I was going to build it, what would I use? I'm a .NET developer. I love writing C#. I think I'm among friends when I say that. So I definitely, if I'm not, y'all let me know in chat and in Zoom. We're definitely going to do this with C#. But the other side to this is, well, I hate installing apps. And I don't know if like anyone else agrees with me, but like I absolutely detest having to install an app to do one specific thing. And so because I work at a fun company named Twilio, where we build a set of APIs, services, platform really to communicate, I thought, well, what if I could send a text message to a phone number? And in that text message, I include information about this gift. So this is where the fun stuff around Autopilot comes into play. Because what Autopilot is Twilio's conversational bot platform, right? So it's this notion of like, what does it mean to build a bot that could take a ton of this information, save it, make it easy for me to interact with, instead of me having to like write all the code to do stuff behind the scenes. And the bot itself is built around this notion of like tasks and actions, meaning I send a message to the bot, it tries to align my message to a specific task. That task then performs a set of actions. It is literally that simple. This is an example of almost what this code is going to look like. And so that's it for me for slides. I hate PowerPoint slides. I literally was just talking about this. We're going to go write some code. So this is my code slide. Let me get out of there. We're now over in Twilio. Let me pull up Visual Studio and just sort of set the stage for what I've got going on here. So there's a couple of things we've got. The first is I have one project here that just has a Visual Studio, an Azure Functions project. You could totally do this with a web API. You could totally do this with your own preferred serverless function language, whatever you want that to be. It's completely up to you. I just love .NET. So of course, that's my preferential choice. Yeah. So I've got this one function. And as you can, the folks who've done Azure Functions, you'll see like I've changed nothing. This is the basic function that you get out of the box. And it really doesn't do much, but it shows you how a function works. I've got this running. The second thing I have running is I've got this thing called ngrok. Ngrok is a phenomenal tool. It allows me to write code locally, run it locally, make it accessible to the internet. So what's going to end up happening is as we write this function or functions that are going to do things for us, ngrok's going to expose that to Twilio so that Twilio can actually call it as we build our bot. And then the third thing I've got is Twilio. So if I'm here at twilio.com/console, I just set this project up literally in the last 15 minutes. So I promise you, there's like nothing here that's like smoke and mirrors because we like to do it live. If it fails, we're going to learn together. So that's my mantra. Let's go have a little bit of fun here. Here in the Twilio console, like I said, just set this up. So I got a trial account. You too can do this. If you go to twilio.com/trytwilio, you can totally do this as well. I'm going to head over to Autopilot and I'm going to create a bot. And when I go over there to Autopilot, like you'll see it says like your bots, you can build a bot. There's the overview. I'm just going to call out the overview real quick. If you've never done anything with Twilio bots, but with Autopilot, this is probably a good place for folks to start. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to build a bot. And by default, there is legitimately a ton of different samples that you could start with. So let's just presume, right, you knew nothing and you just wanted to like come in here and start with a bot. We've got some templates here already for you. Of course, like I work for Twilio, so we're gonna do it ourselves because why not start from scratch? Well, let's call our bot Christmas. I'm just gonna call it Christmas because I love Christmas. Here's what's happening behind the scenes as this thing's creating. It's one, coming up with a set of default tasks. So these default tasks are just given to you by like as you create your bots. And I personally don't like the name of these tasks because I prefer tasks that are like action noun, right? Like say greeting or push code, right? Something like that. Very similar to like PowerShell commandlets for those who know PowerShell. But the cool thing about these is because they're given to you by default, you could totally like take this bot and just go have fun with it. So as a good example, this task has this bot has a greeting task, which is used anytime someone initiates conversations with the bot. And if I go to program, you can see literally, let me just make sure that's good size. Yeah, you can see it literally just says, hello, what can I help you with today? I'm actually gonna do this a little differently. I'm gonna hit the simulate button in the bottom corner. I'm gonna open the full simulator because you can actually simulate interactions with the bot. And I'm gonna say hi. And when I say hi, what happens is you get to see like, okay, this is the task that Twilio thinks you meant to trigger. This is the confidence that Twilio has about you wanting to trigger this specific task. Let's just presume Twilio got it wrong. You can come down here and change it to a different task and hit save, right? Here's the thing though. This bot down here says, hello, what can I help you with today? I'm gonna say, I want to add items to my Christmas wish list. And here's what's gonna happen. You see it triggered a task called fallback. So by default, you get a fallback task as well. If it doesn't recognize what you're trying to do, it will automatically trigger the fallback. Clearly, that's not what we want. So we're gonna go create a task right now to go deal with our Christmas wish list. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go create a task called add items. And when I do that, now I'm gonna come program it. And the cool thing about this is I'm doing this all in JSON because it's incredibly accessible. It's really easy to do declaratively. I can come on down here to the editor and change this. So the bot by default supports a number of actions. Say, collect, listen, blah, 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 ray. We're gonna use collect because we actually wanna collect a bunch of information about this item, right? And even collect supports a number of different templates. So you can just copy and paste, which is literally what I'm about to do because that's how I roll as a developer. So we're gonna copy and paste that and it's all right here. I could totally save this, except this default one is for like, if I was doing a reservation to a restaurant and I hate that. So we're just gonna change this. Let's go change that to say, whenever we ask, whenever we say, hey, we want to do a thing, add an item to the list, say, great. Let's get some more details. And I mean, I'm doing this way because this is so accessible for people who are not programmers, right? You legitimately can come in here and sort of break down like how to actually build your own bot without having to write a line of code. Now check this out. I'm going to change the name of this collection to add items or add item. And then we have a list of questions. So let's go update our questions. Instead of it being what's your first name, we're going to change that to say, what's the name of the item you want to add? And we'll change this question name to item name. And then you'll notice there's this field called type. Type is cool. What type does is type says, look, if you give a specific type of answer, we can do some product categorization. I'm sorry, some categorization on it, right? So I could do like a type called product, or I could do a type called toys, or I could do a type of something else as well. Clearly, you see Twilio has Twilio.firstname because Twilio also has a bunch of built-in types. So this is actually really cool, except I'm going to take it off because I don't care as much about that here. So when I do take it off, what's going to end up happening is I'm just going to get the value that's associated with this specific question whenever someone answers it. The next question we'll ask, so we'll say, hey, what's the name of the item? Second question we'll ask is, and who is it for? And again, we'll come in here, we'll change the question name. So we'll call this item owner. And this is a good best practice. It's a really good best practice. Because then it makes it really easy for you to see, like, hey, listen, I know when someone answers this question, it's for a specific purpose, right? So I'm gonna go Twilio.number here because, I'm sorry, not number, first name. There we go. Because Twilio can recognize first names just by default. Let me add a comma there so we can fix that. The third thing is, and how many do you want? And let's add the question mark there. We'll call this item count. We'll do Twilio.number on this. Finally, we'll do, should we keep this a secret? Because you never know who's paying attention, right? So I'll go item secret, yes, no. And the cool thing is Twilio actually has a type for yes, no. So you could put in all sorts of variations on yes and all sorts of variations on no. And then that'll fit, it'll recognize it, which is cool. I saw a question in chat that asked, can I add my own types? You certainly can. If I open up the field types here is where you would create your own types. So if you wanted to create your own custom field type, you could totally do it here. Let me get rid of this thing on the bottom. You can totally do it down here where you name the type and then you give it a bunch of values. I'm explicitly not doing it right now because I don't want to throw it. I don't want it to throw off the demo, but you could absolutely do this. And then what you would want to do is, like, as you define your field type, you want to have like a list, probably like 7 to 10 different examples of the values, so that when Twilio sees the interactions from those specific from a user, it can match up like this specific string to a particular type, which is why you see things like, hey, 2 lattes and a croissant, because it recognizes the number, it recognizes the product type, and then it recognizes, hey, a croissant is a baked good. So this is really, really, really cool. Okay, so now we've got all of our questions here, and then you get to the bottom and it says on complete. So once the bot finishes asking all the questions, it then can do a post request over to a URL. And this is where our Azure function is going to come into play for the first time. I'm going to change this URL. Let me change that to corey.ngrok.io/API/items. And this is where things start to get really, really, really interesting. Because here is where I'm starting to now go connect over to code. So I'm doing the post request. Let me save this. Twilio's also telling me I need to build the model. Let me show you, without me writing a line of code, I can absolutely go interact with the bot in this way.
Hey, Corey, let me interrupt you real quick because I know you can't see the Zoom chat.
Yeah, I can't see the Zoom chat.
There's a question. Can you create a Twilio bot using C# or some other language? So basically, is it just C# or can you use other languages?
You can totally use other languages, and you can totally define all of this in code. So you can create your autopilot bot as well as create all the tasks, manage all of the samples, everything via code in any of your preferred languages. You can also do a hybrid, which we're doing a little bit of, where you can define some of the stuff in the console and have it connect over to code. And then I saw another question too in Twitch that said, oh, how do we get authentication on that URL post? That's a good question. So authentication right now, we'll talk a little bit, like I'll show you what the request looks like. Authentication right now is not as open-ended. I mean, it's not as straightforward. Because I'm using Azure functions, I would probably do like function-based authentication where you have to append a value to the actual URL for it to work. But if you were hosting this like behind the firewall where you needed to add some stuff to the headers, I don't know if we have support for that yet. I know that was on the radar before, but because I've not been at work, I can't ask. So I can definitely take the question down and take it back. So yeah, no, these are good questions. Keep them coming. And then let me also, I want to see if I can get that Zoom chat back up. Let me see if I can pull that up. Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay. Good. I think I answered that. Let me go test out this bot. Let's go see if we can add an item. So I'm going to go add. Oh, no, wait, I can't do that yet because we created the task, but we never trained it. So I got to go train it now and add a bunch of samples so it knows how to trigger this task. So I'm going to say add an item to the list. I'm going to go add item, please. I'd like to add an item. And notice I'm adding a bunch of stuff that looks as close to natural as possible because this is how people usually interact, right? So like this is really where you want to be. Add item. How do I add an item to the list? Let's add something to my Christmas wish list. And Twilio likes more samples. The more samples, the better. Like, because it's easier to train the bot, right? Which makes sense. If you just give 7, that's a good like baseline to start with. But now that I've done it, I got to rebuild the model behind the scenes. And I like how quick this is because I just click it and then model is building and then it's built and training's up to date. So we're good to go. So now if I come back over here, I'm not even going to change our simulator. I'm just going to go add an item to the list, right? And now it's already triggering my task. Now, what's the name of the item I want to add? My daughter is obsessed with lol dolls. I don't know if there are other parents in the chat room. I didn't even know what a lol doll was until she showed it to me. And I was like, oh, okay, got it. So that's our item we're adding. We're going to get 5 of these because why not? This is Monopoly money. And yes, we should keep it a secret. Let's do that. And notice that as I'm putting in answers, you're seeing the task that got triggered is still here. You're seeing the values that got matched up to the types show up here. And now you see this little red thing in the corner, which is the console debugger, because the console debugger is telling us, hey, we tried to do this thing. We went over to go make the call to your application and failed with a 502. Yes, because our application doesn't exist yet. So let's go fix that. So I'm going to head over to here and we're going to get rid of a bunch of code. This is like the default code, which I don't care about. So we're going to do 3 things. Let's just get rid of that. Let's get rid of that because we don't need that. And I told you we're going to do 3 things. Let me move up just a touch. We're going to do 3 things, right? So the first thing is parse the request that comes in from Twilio. Second is save that request. So that way we like store it someplace because we got a list, right? You got to put the data somewhere. So I should say save the items from the wish list. If only I could spell. One thing coding live has taught me is I am a horrible speller. 3, return a valid response.
You're a true developer.
That means I've earned my chops. And let me fix this. Let's get rid of this because this is no longer existent. So let's save that and we're good to go. All right, now parsing the request. What does the request from Twilio look like? So because I have ngrok, this is one of the reasons why I love ngrok. I'm going to go to localhost 4040 and you'll see like this is, okay, so this is terrible because clearly it says bad gateway. You can't really see much, but you can see some things. First is you can see some headers here. So as we talked earlier about this notion of authentication, there are some things you can check in the request headers to verify that like the request is coming from Twilio as a valid like request. But the other thing is, like I said, if you needed to do some authentication, we don't have a way to add it to the request yet. But I'm going to do something. I'm going to cheat. Let me hit play on this. And I'm going to get Twilio to trigger this thing again. So we're going to run the Azure Functions project. Okay. And that's running. Here it goes right here. Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. Let me change a couple things. Function 1 is the worst name. So let's go add items to list. And let me change the route to be items. And let's make sure that this thing only works on the post request. And let's save that. And now if I run this again, we're going to get the right URL. Yep, because it's going to localhost 7071 API items. Okay, that's the first thing. Now we're going to do this again. Let me go back to Twilio, and I'm going to say add an item. And now it's already triggered. Notice I didn't put add an item as a sample. It just picked that up. This time I'm going to add something for my son. So my son is obsessed with Lightning McQueen from, Disney's Cars. Yeah. No, not like the real Lightning McQueen, like Disney's Cars, Lightning McQueen. And so that makes this really fun for me, by the way. Let's put his name in here. Let's put Cam in there. And let's just get him. It's Monopoly money, 10 of those. And you see, I'm still cheap. Yeah, we'll still keep it a secret. And okay, good. Now this I expect to sort of stay red because we haven't written our function. But check this out. I'm going to go here. And now you can see what the request looks like. So here goes our headers still there. Let's hit the summary and look. Now there's all this additional information that you can pay attention to. And what's cool here is I'm going to just grab this out. Let me grab out the memory, because the memory is the thing that tells you like all the juicy bits. So let me stick this here. I tend to like Notepad++ to do a lot of things. This is one of them. I'm going to just format this really quickly. Check this out. In that request that comes across, Twilio will tell you, one, which channel someone was communicating with the bot through. So it's supported on like messaging based channels and through voice, because this came through our like web chat. That's why it says chat. And so you see all of these interesting attributes here. But then the other side is, this is where you get all the collected data, right? So all the stuff that was collected as the person is interacting with the bot. Because this is JSON parsing and we are .NET developers, and I know we love our strong types, this is going to get really interesting for us. I'm going to write the code right now. But I am one who tends to think that when you work with this bit of code, try not to be so strongly typed, because this can change just depending upon the questions that you have. So I tend to use anonymous types for this. Some .NET developers have like said they've come for me with pitchforks. And so this is not the hill that I will, sort of plant my flag on, but it is a hill that I will march toward. And I'm going to show you why. Let me go back in here. So I showed you what the request looks like, right? This is what the request looks like. Everything comes in through memory. Let's go parse our request in .NET code. So I'm going to stop this. And we have a request body. Let me go var parameters, params equals, oh no, wait, I forgot. Params is special. Request body dot split. And we'll do this based on the and, not the equals, right? And so that'll give us an array. And then we'll take this and we'll convert this to a dictionary. And our key will be the first part of the equals. Because remember, this is like form URL encoded, right? So that way, let's do that. Let's do this to lower too, because I learned when I was writing the code for this that to lower makes things a lot easier. So we'll go x.split. We'll do the equals again. I wish .NET actually made this easier. I really wish they did. But this gives me all of our form parameters in a dictionary. So I can do, like parameters memory, and it'll get me what I need, which is really what I want. So we'll go var memory equals parameters memory. And because this is JSON, I learned something again while I was doing this. You got to do some URL decoding on here. So let's go URL decode that. And then, of course, yeah, let's add the right namespaces so that our code doesn't break. And then let's do some parsing. So it's jobject.parse. Do folks in watching still use jobject and JSON.NET, or should I be moving over to system.text.json? Super curious. Okay, so this gives me some JSON, right? And that JSON now makes this really easy for me to come in and be like, all right, we got the memory. Let's come on in. Let's head on over to Twilio, collect the data, add item, answers. And really that's what I'm going to do. So let me refactor this just a bit. Let's go answers, no, memory, and then we'll go var answers equals memory, Twilio, collect the data, add item, answers, right? And then this is where things start to get super, super, super interesting, because now I want to save these items to a wish list, all right? I love that chat has an opinion. Silent Wolf in Twitch said, the job object is the legacy. System.text.json, it's the future. So to save items, right? Like we can now get to all items, but to save it, we got to store it somewhere. I'm totally doing this like the demo way, which is we're going to save this in Azure Table Storage. So let me do something really quickly. Let me add a project reference. No, not that. Let me add a NuGet package. Yep, let's do that. And let's go Microsoft Azure Cosmos table, because everything is all in that one package. Yes, sure, we accept. Go. Okay, there we go. And then now that I've done that, I need to do something else. I need to add an entity. So I don't know if folks have never done table storage. The way that table storage works is everything gets saved as an entity. So I'm going to go wish list item entity. Let's make this a public class. Let's have it derive from a table entity. And the goodness behind that is it gives me some things. You'll see what I mean when I say that. Let's go public string. Let's create some properties. So we'll go item owner, get set, string, item name, get set. Let's go public int item count, get set, and public bool is secret, get set. Hey, I just saw our friend Bald Bearded Builders here. It's good to see you, bud. Let me do this. Let me do public wish list item entity. So you do need to have one default empty constructor. Every time I've tried to do this, I always forget this for some strange reason, but you do need to have one that's a default empty constructor. And then because we're saving to table storage, we need to have what's called a partition key. And the way that table storage works is like data gets stored into the table via partitions, right? So I'm going to use our item owner for that. So let me go string owner here and you'll see. So we'll say partition key equals, well, let me do this differently. Let's go item owner equals owner. And let's go item owner dot to lower. I just like lowercase things. And then we also need a row key. Right? Like we could do a row key. So let me do string item name and same thing, item name equals item name. Now, this is not code that is expected to be, something that would pass the test on code review. So, I know there's some things I could be doing differently, let me just say, but I'm doing this for the purposes of demonstration. For our row key, we're going to use the item name, but we're going to get rid of the spaces. So it makes it easier for them to do the key set value on there. But we're good to go there. So we have a partition key, we have an item name, we're good to go. I'm going to save that. Let's go back to our function. Let's go create our new entity. New wish list item entity. And this is where we start to get some of these values and we can start to set them. So let's do this. Let's go var. Actually, we can just do some JSON parsing. Now that I think about it, because we've got answers here already set. So answers is going to put us all the way down here. I can go answers, right? And then for the item name, I can go item owner and item name, and then answer, right? So let's go answers, item owner, answer. dot to string. And then copy and paste is how we write code. So copy, and let's go on over, paste, and let's change that item owner to item name. And let me make sure I got the JSON on that right. Yep. Dot to string. And then we'll come on in here and we'll set the item count equals to, well, we'll do convert dot to int 32. And we'll go same thing, because this is, you know, copy and paste is the way. Item count. And then finally is secret. And this one will be answers. What's the name of this? Item secret, yes, no. And we'll do this a little bit differently to lower, not to look up, to lower equal, yes. Again, not code we're writing home about. Then we've got our entity. We need to save it. I'm going to cheat because this is where I just like to use boilerplate stuff. So I'm going to grab some code that I've got sitting in the background that will do our insertion to the table storage, right? So we can save it. And this code is totally boilerplate. You're going to see it. It sets up a storage account. Let's do this thing here. Yeah. Okay, good. So it sets up a storage account, you know, creates the client. We get a table reference gifts. Hold on. Let me make sure our table's created. So I'm going to go over here. We've got a table called gifts that we're running in our local emulator. We're not even saving this up to Azure yet. It's just running on my machine. We're going to go ahead and store this entity, and then it'll run this operation. Now, you should probably put this behind try catch. Let me just be really clear. This is not code you want to put in production. One, because of this, you do not ever want to do that in a production environment. But this at least gets our entity saved. Then we need to return a valid response. And this is where I was talking about that anonymous types thing. So I'm going to head over here, back to Twilio, and I'm going to show you something. So in our tasks, I'm going to go over to add items. Let's hit program again. And remember, we had that say template, right? That kind of says a thing. We want our JSON that we return to look like this. It has to be an actions array of specific things. So let me just do it exactly this way. Response equals new actions equals new array, new say equals thanks. We've added, and you know what? Shout out to string interpolation. That makes really easy. That makes things really easy. So I can go entity dot item count of entity dot item name for entity dot item owner to the list. And then I'm just going to return a JSON result. And I'll give it this response. And this is going to spit out what I need. This is, I think this is it. Now, every time I've written this code, as I've prepared for this talk, it has never worked on the first try. So we are, like my good friend Rollers just said in chat, we are definitely living on the edge, because I'm going to run this. And through the fun of writing code live during the stream, it's going to work. I guarantee you. I guarantee it. Let's go back to the simulator. I'm actually going to start over. And I'm going to refresh the page so I can get rid of this red thing up here. And we're going to do this where I'm going to say, just add to the list. And let's see if it picks us up. It recognizes the right task. We added Law Dolls. We added Lightning McQueen. Let me add one more thing. So there's like this thing called magnetic sand. I didn't realize it was a thing until my son went back to daycare, and then he's like now in love with it. So we're going to get him another gift, some magnetic sand. Apparently it's not the same as real sand. We're only going to get one box of it though, because I don't want sand all over my house. And yes, let's keep it a secret. And now you should see, look at this. Thanks, we've added one of magnetic sand for Cam to the list. And that all came, so Shotty, yes, it worked, I think, because I'm going to go check storage and we're going to refresh, and there it goes. There it goes. So we've got the bot now adding stuff to storage. Great. The thing is, how do we actually get stuff from the bot? Right? Like we need to actually like do a method to do that. So let's go fix this. We're going to do this the exact same way, right? We're going to go add a task, get items, same thing. This time I'm going to cheat. I'm going to show you something. So before I showed you how you could do all of this with JSON, you can actually self-host it and point this to your application, right? Or, and this only does a post request. So I'm going to show you my hack around this because I don't actually want to do a post request. I'm going to do action bin and I'm going to do a redirect. And when I do a redirect, I can tell it the method that I wanted to use. So that way it doesn't get. And then I'm going to copy and paste some code because we're coming up on time. So I'm going to go get, right? And then we're going to change this URL to corey.ngrok.io API items, right? Obviously, I need to go create this. So let me save this. Then let's train this super quickly. And let's go, what are the items on the list? Can I see the items, the list items? I need to know what's in the list. What's in the list? What have I added to the list? Can I see everything on the list? Right? And these are some good samples, right? Pretty normal, the way I would naturally think to interact with this. Rollers has asked, where do they ask gifts for them? Hold on, we got a fun surprise for you. Let's do one more, which is, how do I see everything in the list? If only I could spell, I tell you. Okay, good. Let's build the model. That's now going to do a GET request whenever we trigger that task. Let's go create our function to trigger that task. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to set up our function definition very quickly. And I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of code. And let's go get items from the list. And let's change this to a GET request. And let's call this get list items. Add a list item, and then let's go ahead and set up this definition. Now, let me go copy and paste a bunch of code, and let me show you how this is going to work. So I'm going to come here, we're going to go there, and I'll walk you through sort of what this looks like so that we're not all just like being like, oh, it's smoke and mirrors, that crazy guy. Okay, so here's the deal. We set up a result message. Result message says, yeah, there's nothing to return because there's a chance there may be nothing to return. Here's the boilerplate stuff. Obviously, you see I was practicing, so we'll call this gifts, right? Again, create storage account, create a table client, connect to the table. Then just get the query from all the things in the list. Nothing special. You can totally filter this if you want to. Nothing special there. If we actually have results, thank you, we do. Let me go ahead and do that. Go ahead and just append it to a message that we send back. And again, we just build some anonymous types right here. We return back a JSON result. We're good to go. If something goes wrong, for whatever the reason may be, we just return okay. That way we don't break the application, right? Let me save this. Let's run this. Uh-oh. What'd I do? What'd I do? Oh, hold on. I got to rename something. Item owner. There we go. Okay. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the function is running. We're good to go there. We see we have our two URLs, so we're good to go. It mapped to the right functions. Now, let's go test this thing. So we'll go back to the simulator. Where'd I put it? Back to the simulator. And we'll go, can I see the list? And look, it's just figured it out. It's gotten it all directly from the list. We could totally keep doing this, add more stuff to the list. Now, someone in chat asked a question. Someone in chat said, how do I add items for me to the list? This is where I think Autopilot is incredibly powerful because I can take this one bot and deploy it in a number of different places. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this bot and deploy it to a phone number where you can call into the number and actually add items, or you can send it text messages and it would work as well. But for reference, you can totally connect this up to Alexa and be like, Alexa, run this app, or Alexa, run this specific thing so that we can add it to the list. Same is true for Google Assistant. Same is true for Facebook Messenger, or those who love them some Slack, right? I'm going to just click the link here so I can copy this. And let me go open up our phone numbers in a new tab because I got a local number to Louisville just before we started. Yay. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to voice. And I'm just going to put that there. And then let's go to messaging. So I'll go back. We'll go to messaging. We'll copy that. We'll go there. We'll come over here. We'll go there. And then we'll just save that. And now I'm actually going to call this number live. And you'll get to see sort of how this works. So let me open up my phone here locally. I was going to put my phone up on the screen, but I ran into some issues with displaying it, which was not fun. 677-3383. You too can call as well if you've got a phone, or you can text into the number as well. Let me run this here real quick live. Let's see.
You have a trial account. You can remove this message at any time by upgrading to a full account. Press any key to execute your code.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Oh, it hung the phone up. Why did it hang the phone up? Hold on. That wasn't supposed to work that way. Hold on. Shut the front door. Let me double check what happened here. We're going to check the phone number real quick just to see the logs, to see if the call came in. I think the call should have come in. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. That's my number. What happened? How did it not do anything? I think it's because I'm on a trial account. I'm pretty sure it is. No. Let me double check this real quick just to make sure the debugger's not complaining. I'm also going to text this number because I do want to actually have this thing work. Okay, the debugger's not complaining. Let me pull this back up just to be on the safe side. It wouldn't be live. Oh, nope. Yeah, nope, that's not it. That's old stuff. We're going to try this one more again. Let me text into this thing real quick and see if it works. So I'm going to text in behind the scenes that I want to add an item to the list. And you're going to see this because we're going to see it pop up here in our storage. So let me show this real quick. Let me refresh that. We've got our magnetic sand. I want to add a car to the list because I want to buy myself a car. So we'll add this car for Corey. And why not give me 2 cars because it's monopoly money? And let's definitely not keep it a secret because I'm picky about my cars. And then it says we've added 2 cars for Corey to the list. And there goes my car right there. Okay, so I texted it and it worked. I'm pretty sure it's because I got something funky going on with this trial account. Let me just double check. We're going to dial this number one more time. We're going to go with it.
You have a trial account.
Yeah.
You can remove this message at any time by upgrading to a full account.
I know.
Press any key to execute your code.
Hello, what can I help you with today?
I want to get the items from the list.
Great. Let's get some more details. What's the name of the item you want to add?
Too bad I thought I wanted to add something. Let's add a microphone to the list.
And who is it for?
Corey.
And how many of this do you want?
6.
I didn't get that. What did you say?
6.
Should we keep this a secret?
No.
Thanks. We've added 6 of too bad. I thought I wanted to add something.
Too bad.
Let's add a microphone Corey to the list.
I love that. That's great. It totally got it all sorts of wrong. But this is the point, right? Is you can have a ton of fun with this as you build this thing out. I love how one cheap and then not cheap I am with Monopoly money. But this is the fun behind Autopilot, right? Is you can have a ton of fun with this. I got a question in chat here that asked the question on what's the licensing and the pricing look like. I'm just going to go to twilio.com/autopilot because full disclosure, I'm terrible at remembering how much things cost. So there's the features. Here we go. Here's the pricing information. It's always on the homepage. So I'm going to drop this here in chat so that if folks are interested, you can definitely go look it up. But we've got us a Christmas wish list. We've got one that we can interact with via text messaging and with phone calls. We should probably add some capabilities to like allow it to recognize pictures, right? So that would be something that's cool. Like if we took a picture and we had it come across in a message and then we sent it over to like photo recognition software, that would be actually super cool. And it recognizes it by the person because that's our partition key. We've got our secret flag. It can do some fun things with that. I feel like we've built our Christmas wish list in less than an hour. I literally got 40 something seconds left, which is amazing. So I'm going to wrap this thing up by saying two things. The first is all code that I wrote today, separate of the boilerplate stuff, that is all going to be up on GitHub. I need to actually do the commit because we literally just wrote it. So I do want to make sure that like y'all know like we're going to be legit and honest about that. Let me pull the slides back up. The second thing is so we're always building stuff like this on Twitch. I have the privilege of, as I said, being a developer evangelist at the beginning of the call. And it is one that allows me to connect with developers in ways that we think work for the community. So definitely don't hesitate to hit the follow button. Go hit up my link, hit the follow button. I'll be live again in about 2 weeks. If I'm not your cup of tea, you can always check out the Twilio team on there. We got a bunch of other developers who are also streaming from Twilio. In fact, I think someone's live right now. And if you are interested for signing up for Twilio, go twilio.com/trytwilio. Definitely will get you some free credits. And that's it from me. I feel like I came in like right on time, Chad.
Like I said, we don't really have a set time. I just love, of course, like, well, so I guess an hour, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever time makes it works for you. And he kept to that hour.
Yeah, let me stop the share. I tried really hard. I'm very respectful of people's times during the week. So I'm always like, wait, let me make sure we're good there. But if there are questions, I'd happily take them now. If folks, didn't feel comfortable to ask earlier, you're more than welcome to drop them in now.
Any questions? Of course, the other thing I find out is the people in Zoom open up after we disconnect from Twitch.
Well, that's where the real party is. So yeah. I got my drinks ready for that. My water-based drink ready for that one.
And again, for those who didn't hear, when Corey does get back, definitely check out his 5 o'clock show. You'll understand more about the water-based drink.
Yeah. You bring your water and your water-based drink and we have a good time. And the goal of, so just being really transparent, the goal of our 5 p.m. show is to just create a space for developers to let loose, have a little bit of fun while we build the thing. From week to week, in November, we are actually going to start building a thing, like a real thing, as opposed to me doing individual one-on-one things. Twilio's just announced Twilio Video WebRTC Go, which is like the longest product name. Sounds like Microsoft named it, but it's pretty much free video chat. And legitimately, I'm a huge fan of Blazor. I've been a big fan of Blazor since like last year. So we're going to try to build Twilio Video WebRTC Go and Blazor together over the next couple of weeks. I have no idea how this is going to go thanks to our water-based drinks, but I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to having folks in there.
Silent Wolf says you need more buzzwords than that.
Yeah, Twilio Video WebRTC Go. for Chrome.
Go.
Thank y'all so much too for the feedback, because I saw the feedback popping in too.
Awesome. So before we disconnect, sure enough, I did share the Zoom link on Twitch. So if folks want to move over to Zoom, because like I said, we will continue the social portion of the evening, which is a lot of fun, right? You know, always, just talking about whatever. So before I disconnect chat, or for Twitch, any questions real quick? And if not, I'm stalling for a moment because it always takes a moment for everything to catch up.
For the follow, for the latency thing to do what it does. The live stream.
For those on Twitch, as I mentioned at the beginning, I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I will be back on tomorrow night. So Corey, there's a question of when do you stream, and I know, like I said, I know you're on a break at the moment. So when is it you're planning on streaming next?
Yeah, it's a good question. I will be back live the first week in November, literally just right after the election here in the States. I typically stream Wednesdays. We do our file newbie stream. That's the stream for code newbies. We do all like the basics of how to get started coding. And sometimes we argue about the best practices because no one ever talks about that. Mm-hmm. So that's fun. Thursdays, we do Corey Codes. And then Fridays, the 5 p.m. show. So that'll be back. November 4th is the date, I think.
Yeah, so not next week, but the week after.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. There you go. You got someone who's gonna says they're
hey, we got a new follower. Yes.
I say definitely. I mean, like I really enjoy those shows. Awesome. For everyone on Twitch, I am going to disconnect. I hope to see you all later. All right, and I'm gonna make sure I do this where I don't disconnect the Zoom. I've done that once before. I'm gonna stop the live stream.